You know, sometimes we get our Transformer news not from Hasbro Pulse, not from a live stream, not from someone stealing something from the Vietnamese factories, not even from our traditional news websites. Sometimes we learn about new Transformer product literally by finding it on the shelves for the first time. And this is a very exciting one because this is an item in some shape or form that for years I have been hoping would finally see some kind of release anyway, just because it would be something that'd be so cool to have in your traditional vintage G1 shelving. And well, while it's not 100% what I was hoping for, I hope that in a lot of ways this kind of shows that there is a potential in the future to go in that direction with this character. So what are we talking about today? So in Pasadena, someone went to a Target and found a whole bunch of Super7 product that has not been announced or revealed by Super7 themselves. Very bizarre. They're very good and on top of that kind of stuff with their social media. Now, they had a carded repaint of the Galvatron from their Wave 4 assortment. So it's a Galvatron from their Wave 4, but done in the toy accurate colors as opposed to the animation accurate purple. So that was pretty cool. And then in that same new assortment of carded Super 7 reaction stuff, they also had a Grimlock G2, as it's listed there, a repaint of the Dino Mode Grimlock that we've already gotten in the past, but now done in blue. So those were pretty cool. Hey, that's awesome. I'm surprised they didn't announce those. But the big thing was when you flipped over the figure and looked at the back of the card on the cross-sell, there was a whole bunch of product that we didn't know about, and one of them is really exciting. So the less exciting ones, let's go into, although depending on you might love those characters. They also announced that there's going to be a Reaction Super 7 Ultra Magnus, a Wreck-Gar, a Sharkticon. We could definitely army build that one. We're going to get Cyclonus, and we're going to get a Quintesson. So that's pretty cool too. You know, get a nice some Quintesson action there. And again, these are Super 7s, which usually have 5 points of articulation, no transformation, little simple figures, but they're very fun. But the big one here, the big one is there's going to be another 6-incher added to the line. Super 7s are normally between 4 and 5 inches, depending on the character, sometimes 3 1/4. But the large characters usually get the 6-inch treatment. And up to this point, the only other 6-incher that we got was Devastator in Wave 3. Well, we're getting another 6-incher, and it's Unicron. But not just any Unicron. It's Unicron based off of his old 1986 Hasbro Takara prototype design. Fat Unicron, round Unicron, Orson Welles Unicron, with those wacky colors and even the blaster that he came with the prototype. So for people that are confused, what is this ugly, peach-colored and baby blue Unicron? What's going on here? So there was a few prototypes of Unicron throughout the years. There was hand-painted resins and all kinds of stuff. There was a green one from Takara. But the most legendary one that was known to the Western fandom was the one that made its first appearance at BotCon 1996, the very first Unicron prototype that was known to the Western world. And it was this big, fat Unicron that had a simplistic transformation. And at BotCon 96, it was mistransformed. The arm was kind of, they didn't want to mess with it. It was a hard copy prototype. And what was crazy about it was that, this thing was over a foot tall. It was huge at the time, and supposedly sported sound clips from Orson Welles, which had not worked at that point at the BotCon 96. It was already scrapped, and it was the only Unicron anything that existed up to that point. Of course, years later, we would get a statue of Unicron through Hard Heroes, and then, of course, finally, our first Unicron figure through Transformers Armada and the Aaron Archer crew at Takara and Hasbro back in 2001. And the rest is history. We have our HasLab one. But this one was always a special anomaly just of how weird it looked, what the engineering and technology that was available to them at the time to make a planet mode Transformer. And we've learned a lot about this character and this design and this figure since. We've found, patents and layouts and designs and the people who were behind it. And the ongoing belief was that it was the reason why we never got it ultimately in the end was it was too big, the design was too fragile, the voice chip didn't work well with the transformation, which could damage with the wiring with the transformation because everything really collapsed on the inside of that planet mode itself, so the wiring could get bent, so it was leading to a faulty kind of design. Having Orson Welles' voice chip, maybe that involved some kind of, some kind of royalties. And ultimately, in the end, they couldn't work that out. Orson Welles had passed away, so that maybe that kind of threw a wrench in it and everything. It also would have been the first Transformer to have the original voice actor featured as their voice box. That would not happen until years later with Optimus Primal, with their Supreme class Beast Machines Optimus Primal through the Robots in Disguise line, which actually featured Gary Chalk's voice. Up to that point, all the voice box Transformer stuff was facsimiles, people that were, I am Optimus Prime, Megatron attack, and all that craziness with G2. But anyways, this is exciting because we're getting at least a miniature version of the robot mode of this old classic prototype Unicron. And what's cool is because the original prototype Unicron, his stand for the planet mode actually transformed into a gun that he could use, and they even include the gun that he would have came with also. So it's so cool. This is fantastic, and it tells me what makes me so happy. And Super 7's good with those deep cuts, but it also tells me, hey man, we could potentially maybe one day get a crazy reissue of this. Hasbro, please, you want to talk about a HasLab that's a deep cut that would really work with the hardcore fans? Give me a Transformers G1 vintage reissue Unicron done like this. I would pay it all, man. It would be so cool to have in our collection. But so this is going to be happening. We don't know if it's already on shelves right now and people just got their hands on it and it hasn't been shared publicly with the fandom. But this is something that is going to be on our way, if not already. And yeah, pretty cool stuff. Again, if you've seen the original one in person, I have. They were at TF cons in the past and BA cons in the past. They were brought. It was a cool, interesting item. So let me know what you think, guys. I am so excited about this. If you don't even like what Super 7 does, you don't like the non-transforming small little action figure stuff or even their ultimates, but you're a G1 fan, you got to get this. This is so cool. This is so cool. This is something, even if you don't like if you have the old SCF PVCs or the Heroes of Cybertron, as it was called in the West, this would fit in perfectly with that scale-wise. That would be so fun. Anyways, guys, let me know what you think. This is fantastic. I love it. I'm super stoked. Looks like we're finally getting that prototype Unicron. Man, when I saw it, I lost it. I was like, oh my goodness. For years, I have been pushing for this thing to get some kind of reissue because it would just be so niche and fun. And it looks like it's finally happening, at least in some shape or form. And maybe this could then, like I say, flower into something bigger and we could actually get a legitimate one at one point in the future. Anyways, let me know what you think. I'm super stoked. This is awesome.